What's up, everybody? It's your favorite gay-looking straight boy, Hunter Avalone, here, back with another flaming hot pile of good content. I finally got off my lazy butt, and I decided to watch Borat 2, and, I have some thoughts. Borat 2 isn't a typical movie, but rather a collection of social experiments. It's much more about the individual social interactions, rather than a cohesive plotline. This is probably good to know going into the movie. It's a mockumentary, full of candid interactions with everyday Americans who either didn't know they were being filmed or believed they were being filmed for different purposes, and they didn't know that Borat was actually a satirical caricature. Deceptive, yeah, but it impressively achieves its goals by gauging genuine reactions from Americans. For example, the babysitter in the movie believed it was a documentary about women living without rights. She was unaware it was actually a comedy, so she interacted with the characters as if their life troubles were real. The individual interactions were good, but as an overall movie, it felt a little cheesy and weak. I definitely found it a little overrated as far as everyone's claims about it being the funniest movie ever. The mockumentary follows Borat and his 15-year-old daughter, Tudor, played by a 24-year-old woman, making their way through 2020 America. In this film, Borat is famous from his huge hit in 2006, so he embraces new disguises throughout the movie. Like I said, the plotline wasn't too cohesive, starting with Borat attempting to gift his daughter on behalf of Kakistan to a powerful politician, and shifting focus more to his daughter finding her own autonomy. The plot loosely tied the film together, but the social interactions were the main focus of the movie. Instead of attempting to catch people saying terrible things, it was more about Borat, whose character is a flat-out bigot, saying terrible things and gauging the reactions. It was about pushing the limits of what everyday Americans would tolerate. Unfortunately, it revealed just how much everyday Americans would tolerate, especially if they would monetarily gain. Sure, there were some funny scenes of Borat, dressed up as Trump, trying to gift his daughter to Pence during a speech at CPAC, and he definitely takes trolling to the next level. But it was also really sad, because this deceptively shot mockumentary revealed a dark reality about some of American society being complicit in bigotry and worse. Yeah, all trolling aside, we can learn something about American society from Borat 2. In one scene, Borat asks a cargo guy to help him staple shut a box with his daughter in it. And the guy does it! He staples shut a box with a girl in it and agrees to ship it away. Like, the fact this wasn't acted and was shot with real people who didn't realize that these people are actors is insane. Like, did this guy just comply with human trafficking? We're gonna need a bigger Chris Hansen. Another example is Borat asking a sales guy which size container of noxious gas would kill X number of gypsies in his car. The movie did a good job revealing how so many Americans are borderline sheep, willing to just go along with virtually anything so long as confrontation is avoided. In another scene, Borat is shopping for a cage for his daughter. Yeah, like the girl is with him and she's begging her dad for a new cage. Talk about taking trolling to a new level. I wish this was trolling also, but seriously, the hardware store employee is helping him. He's literally going right along with helping this guy pick out a cage for his daughter. A new low for lows. I've never personally been employed by the Home Depot, but I'm pretty sure if some guy was trying to purchase his cage for his daughter, I'd want to call the police, or at the very least, I'd go full-blown Karen and call the manager on him. Of course, I want to be charitable, and I'm sure if I were in a situation like that, I'd be thrown off. But I like to believe I wouldn't just shrug my shoulders and start showing the strange man who wants a cage for his daughter like a gerbil, cages at half off. This isn't like, well, he has opinions and I have my opinions. No, this is like, human trafficking is bad. In another interaction, Borat purchases a cake and asks the woman to write "Jews will not replace us" in frosting on the cake. For those of you who don't know, that is a blatant neo-Nazi slogan. The woman definitely looked a little offended, but she ultimately ended up going along with it. It was just sad. It made me legitimately disappointed in aspects of American culture. It's sad that people are so complicit in this kind of bigotry, or even worse, like shipping girls in boxes or selling cages for human women. It's totally shocking that people just fall in line, even if it's a super uncomfortable situation, or if they're being asked to frost a neo-Nazi cake. The movie really exposed a passive attitude towards bigotry. And I think there are many reasons for this, but I think snowflake culture plays a role. No one wants to offend anyone by criticizing their opinions. Everyone's opinion is now valid, like a participation trophy. Obviously that's wrong. Some opinions are objectively better than others. In 2019, anti-Semitic incidents surged. I don't think that's because of people like the woman who made the Nazi cake, but I do think it's partially because of the attitude of the woman who made the Nazi cake and millions of other Americans. Borat 2 did a good job exposing Americans' passive attitude towards bigotry, which should be eye-opening to all of us. This is something we can change, and there's nothing wrong with standing up against blatant and inexcusable bigotry for the sake of our fellow Americans. Borat 2 also did a really good job revealing just how far the political scale has slid. There's a segment where Borat hangs out with some QAnon rednecks, and they're literally talking about how Hillary Clinton drinks the blood of trafficked children. In another scene, Borat gets a crowd of far-right protesters to sing along to songs about chopping up journalists like they do in Saudi Arabia. This was kinda funny, kinda disappointing, but not that shocking. And that's not a criticism. It really just reveals how far the scale has slid. In the first 2006 film, people were offended by what Borat would say, but in 2020, they're either passively enabling it or actively participating in it. It was disheartening to witness how insane ideas have become the norm for some Americans. There were other scenes that seemed to bring out the worst of America also. There was an interaction where a plastic surgeon essentially told the allegedly 15-year-old girl that he'd sleep with her if Borat wasn't present. And of course, there was the Rudy Giuliani scene. This scene caused the most controversy by far, and it included Giuliani doing an interview with Borat's daughter. After the interview, Giuliani asks for the girl's phone number and address before he puts his hands down his pants. Giuliani claims he was just fixing his microphone and nothing inappropriate happened, and benefit of the doubt, I can totally see how this segment may have been deceptively edited, but what was shown on screen definitely looked like less than professional behavior on the part of Rudy Giuliani. Of course, Borat 2 didn't capture only bad aspects of people. Janice Jones, the babysitter, was considered the moral compass of the movie because of her compassion and her advocacy for equal rights. However, this brings in some questions regarding the ethics of capturing a film this way. Janice Jones was told this was a documentary about underprivileged women, and the producers told her she'd probably never see the movie because it would only be airing in the UK. She was paid less than $4,000 for her instrumental role in the comedy she believed was a serious documentary. In a Facebook post, Jones said that she did not know this was a satirical comedy movie and that I was being set up. In an interview with the New York Post, Jones said she felt betrayed. She did go on to make over $100,000 thanks to a GoFundMe account set up for her, but I think the deceptive nature of these movies is something we should all be critical of. Like I said, the movie as a whole felt long and choppy, but I think there's a lot we can learn from the social interactions in Borat 2. Too many Americans are complicit in bigotry, and too many Americans are willing to overlook objectively bad behavior for the sake of avoiding confrontation. If there's one thing we can learn from America being exposed by Borat 2, it's this. America, grow some balls! It's okay to say no to a Nazi cake. It's okay to not sell cages for a guy's daughter. It's not okay as a medical professional to admit you'd sleep with your patient if her alleged father weren't there. Regardless of the ethics of Borat 2, the content confirms a few cultural pushes or trends that we see in our society. The narrative that everyone has a right to their own opinions has bled into the ideology that no opinion is worse or better than anyone else's, and it's quite prevalent in this film. Secondly, there seems to be a shirk of personal responsibility when it came to human rights. While the sheer number of people who accommodated Borat's clearly unethical shopping lists don't imply the characters are endorsing this behavior, they all enable it and feel no responsibility in doing so. This is a springboard for conversations revolving around enablement and personal responsibility for the preservation of human rights. "I just work here" seems to be the accepted and poor excuse of many we see in this movie. Also, there seems to be a very accurate representation of how politically polarized we are, evidenced by the joyful reaction to Borat's violent extremist song, the QAnon members expressing that Democrats are worse than the coronavirus, as well as Giuliani's answers and behavior during the interview. Overall, this movie exemplifies real-life implications of societal narratives. While we as the viewers can find satire in Borat's absurd situations and conversation, the responses of the victims of the pranks provide chilling gravitas as they reacted to these pranks as reality. But there you guys have it. This was my review of Borat 2. Quite a crazy movie, I have to say. Please give this video a like, comment below, and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you all soon. Peace.